Our 4-day adventure began at the ungodly hour of 4 a.m. with a classic chaotic start. Turns out our icebox was way too big, we had enough beers to open a small bar, and I had packed more outfits than days on the trip. After a tense 30-minute operation involving Tetris-level logistics, we were finally ready to hit the road to Gal Oya. But before we get going, let me quickly introduce you to the crew. We got Akila, Dilini, Shaminder, Durga, Steph, Sarini, Savinder, and yours truly. We had a 6-hour journey ahead of us, and the route we chose looked a little like this. On our way, we made the essential road trip stops. Caffeine, carbs, and a quick stretch to remind ourselves we're not as young as we think. By 11:45, we arrived at the bungalow. And to mark our arrival, we cracked open a carton or 3 of sangria from Wines by VS. An affordable, delicious, and dangerously easy to drink. We soaked in the view, sipped on our drinks, and then, right on cue, the rain rolled in. So we headed inside for lunch and waited it out. And once the skies cleared, it was back to adventure mode.
Many rivers to cross, 'cause I can't seem to find my way over. Wondering I am lost as I travel along wide cliffs of Dover. Naviganga Varanaye Sari Sara Sada Maruthe Indra Kilaya Se No Sali Mayana Mavate Sing hello.
We wrapped up the day with some tinkiri tea, and Chef Savinder took over the kitchen and whipped up a red curry chicken that was easily a 10 out of 10. But 15 minutes into winding down, Akila, in a noble attempt to feed the friendly neighborhood puppy, ended up getting bitten by said friendly neighborhood puppy. So while patching up his hand and trying not to panic, we tried to figure out how exactly we were going to squeeze a hospital visit into tomorrow's itinerary. By 4:30 a.m., we were up and sipping on tinkiri tea and taking in the sunrise. Then it was time for our next adventure. But first, a detour to the hospital.
You're saying no matter what hospital we go to, they won't give just one shot?
No. They can't give it.
Yeah.
But they said try Ampara. So
Ampara
East
will.
hospital,
Okay.
East hospital is a bigger hospital.
Yeah.
They might allow it. I mean, it's emergency, so they can't say no.
So anyway, now if you go to hospital and wait until 8:39, anyway the morning round is done. So let's just do the round and then we'll all get...
I'd say now we go to the park and do
Midnight today, the bugger starts.
take a tour.
Oh!
We can even like, Sharad, we can
We'll do a morning run.
and then take back.
Then we don't miss that also. We'll do that in the morning and then,
And then...
by around 8.
Is there a car gear anywhere?
Not
You
nice.
can.
Huh?
You can.
Yeah. So buy this bugs are very big.
And we were off to Nilgala. The drive there was one of the most scenic drives we've ever done. Golden sunlight hitting the mountains, kids on their morning walk to school, not a car in sight. For a brief moment, it felt like time itself had shifted into reverse. The roads inside Nilgala were a bit bumpy, but totally worth it. We drove through incredibly diverse landscapes and spotted all kinds of birds along the way. Jungle owlets, spurfowl, and then we heard the call of the painted francolin. We hit the brakes, killed the engines, and waited. The francolin darted through the tall grass like a Formula One car with feathers. It's one of those sightings where if you blink, you miss it. But don't worry, Savinder came through with a Nat Geo-worthy photo for the memory books. After that, we were back on the road. And while crossing over to the other side, Shaminder, in the jeep ahead of us, suddenly points at us and starts playing what looked like a game of charades. He throws out some hand signal, which all of us instantly interpreted as crocodile nearby. So eventually, Steph, mid-crossing, trying to avoid this crocodile, swerves a little too far and nearly ends up off the road. Eventually, we roll out of the park and Shaminda, Akila, Tilani headed off to the hospital, while the rest of us went in search for a lunch and spot to swim. An hour of driving, scouting, debating, we finally found it. A random riverbank by the roadside. We then popped open the sangria and slid straight into the water. A little while later, the rest of the gang joined us, and we soaked up every minute in the river. Right until the rain rolled in, signaling it was time to head back to the bungalow. That evening, we heard an elephant was roaming nearby, so we grabbed our torches and went for a little stroll to see if we could spot the big guy. Back at base, Nurse Durga was officially on call, and her patient, the drama queen, I may have slightly overreacted to a minor issue. After that, it was dinner, drinks, and straight to bed. The next morning began in true holiday fashion, perched on the balcony, watching the sunrise, with the sangria in hand. And to top off this moment, we brought out the ultimate treat, Tilini's homemade cookies. But before we could get our hands on them, a monkey appeared out of nowhere and stole the whole bag. Clean getaway, no crumbs left behind. The mission for the day was simple. Find ice for our beers and track down the perfect swim spot. And spoiler alert, we absolutely nailed it.
If you really want it, yes, come and get it. Come and get it. Oh, nah, running red lights. Got my foot on the gas and I'm burning through the nightlight. Oh, nah, pockets full of gold and they're gonna get me there. Or so I've been told. So give me the reason why the heart stop beating in a reckless season. Thinking about you leaving like, oh, nah.
We were in the water from around noon till about 3:30 p.m. when we finally decided it was time to head back to the bungalow for lunch. But of course, nothing ever goes smoothly. Just as we were packing up and walking back to the vehicle, Akila somehow managed to injure himself again. It happened so fast, and the cut was pretty deep. Deep enough that just the sight of it made Savinder reconsider his life choices. Back at the bungalow, while most of us had lunch, Tilani stepped up to clean Akila's wound. But one look at the blood had her reconsidering her life choices too. So in true survival mode, Akila was left to tend his own injury. Spoiler alert, it didn't go so well. Enter Nurse Durga, back on duty, who patched him up properly and gave the poor bandage the attention it truly deserved. That evening, Savinda had big plans for a barbecue night under the stars. But of course, the rain had other ideas. So he took it indoors, but still cooked up an absolute storm before we called it a night. Our final morning in Gal Oya was spent exactly where it should be. On the balcony, soaking in the view one last time. This adventure was one for the books and for the soul.